You're not allowed to be alone in a room together, man and a woman. What if the woman is really ugly? Then it's okay? Like, everyone agrees that it's ugly. Now can they be in a room together? Because, there isn't going to be any sexual energy. Because she's ugly. The nature of your hair changes when you get married?
Do you cover it with a wig? Yes.
Right. Years of being covered. Right. So listen to this. And see if it makes sense to you. There's no question that the body as a whole gives off sexual energy. I mean, that's like the most well-known fact in the world. Giving off sexual energy is depleting. If you give it off, then you have less. Like anything else. You eventually have expressed it all and there's nothing left. That's why people who don't wear clothes are not sexual. They're not interested in intimacy. You would think, whoa, they should be excited all the time because they're so exposed. It's not being exposed to others. They themselves are exposed, so the skin gives off the sexual energy, and then there's nothing left to be intimate with. Make sense?
Kind of. Isn't energy like infinite in a way? Like my depth is infinite, your depth is infinite. It's not the same with like that kind of energy. Like there's always
No.
no.
It's not.
Batteries.
Most of our energies get used up.
Right, that's true.
And then we need to refresh, find some way of refreshing, or, you got to go on vacation, you got to recover, you got to.
Sleep.
So here's the point. People who don't cover themselves eventually have no sexual energy. Yes?
Interesting. Well, I just stay here and want just women.
Oh, I'm second. But if that's true, and it obviously is, so it's an everyday fact, people who are most exposed don't get intimate very often. In fact, there is a crisis of intimacy in the United States. The average couple are intimate maybe once a month. They're tired, they're not interested, they're bored. I don't know what it is, but there's no energy. And that's because they're overexposed. Now, the hair, the sages realize that your hair, like your skin, gives off sexual energy. Now, when you're single, it's not a problem. So you have less sexual energy. So what? You're single. But when you're married and you need that energy, then giving it off, dissipating it into the air is harmful. So when it's, people say, I'm saving myself for my husband. Like, what does that mean? I'm going to be really tznius and decent with everybody else, but not with my husband. Like, what does that mean? Like, with your husband, you don't have to be decent? That's so backwards. It's so ridiculous. Right? What it means is, not I'm saving myself for my husband. I'm saving my energy because I have a husband. I have an intimate life. So why would I waste intimate energy when I need it for my life? So when you get married, you don't want to give off any energy because you can use it. You need it. So now the question is, do you cover your hair with a shmata? Or can you cover your hair with a really good-looking wig? The answer is, what's the difference? What's the difference? As long as it's covered, you're not wasting that energy. On the other hand, if a man is poor and he has only a few dollars left and he needs to spend it on the wine for Kiddush or on the perfumes for his wife, he should spend it on his wife. Meaning to say, there's no virtue to not looking good. There's no virtue to not being attractive. So the purpose of covering the hair is not to make you less attractive, because men might get excited. That was never the issue. So again, in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden, they realized not that the other was naked. That's not the issue. You're not protecting the others from what they're going to see. They realized, each of them, that, hey, I'm wasting energy here. And we're married. So, not a good idea. So they got dressed in order to not waste the energy. For women in particular, it becomes a little more complicated. Because the difference between a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, is that the man is supposed to express, he's supposed to be extroverted. The woman is supposed to be internal, inward. She's supposed to be receiving. To be giving and receiving at the same time is a compromise of both. So you're not really a giver and you're not really receiving, because in fact, part of the mikveh, the reason for the mikveh, is that when your body is putting out, then you can't receive. Because you can't be going in two directions at the same time. I actually had this interview with a Chinese doctor. His English was not very good, but somehow we managed to communicate. And he mentioned that in Chinese medicine, a husband and a wife are not intimate during a certain part of the month. I said, wow. Is that part of your religion? He said, no, it's part of the health laws, because you can't give out and take in at the same time. The yin and the yang, I don't know, whatever they're. So for a woman, if the hair is giving out, then it compromises her receptivity, because you can't go in two directions at the same time. For a man, it's not that terrible, because he's supposed to be expressing and giving, but you have to give properly. So a man has to be tznius. I don't know why people have the impression that men don't have to be tznius. In fact, one of the reasons you have to wear a yarmulke today is because without a yarmulke, you're not tznius. The head of a man is covered. If you take it off, you're not tznius. The only difference that I know of is that a man's arm, the elbow, can be exposed. I think for a very simple reason. He has to put on tefillin in public. You can't say don't expose your arm. But that's the only difference.
A man's knees are not allowed to be uncovered?
Yeah?
A man's knees are not allowed to be uncovered?
Knees?
He said elbows, so now I'm asking about.
Yeah, of course they have to be covered. So, a sheitel, a wig, the better it looks, the better it is. Because unattractive is not holy, it's not spiritual, it's just wrong. So the sheitel does two things, and it does it very well. It covers your hair so that you're not wasting energy into the air, And at the same time, it looks good. There's some people were visiting Crown Heights, and one of them made a comment. The women here in Crown Heights, their hair never goes gray. I haven't seen a single gray-haired woman. That's not bad. There is this mistaken notion that the purpose of a covering is to make you look less attractive. I don't know where that came from.
Because men have a hard time. You see a lot of beautiful women and it's
Right.
hard. It's hard.
On the poor men,
But like,
yeah.
And single and married, single people.
So if we're worried about men, there's no end to it. Then you should cover your nose. Well, you know, a man could get a.
Even in South Arabia, that's how they cover up.
That's right. That's right.
But inside their home, they're dressed very differently.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
How do you know that?
They inside they uncover and they have to wear like
They can wear whatever they want.
different stuff. That's just saying.
So again, that's backwards. If you're going to be holy with your husband, not with strangers on the street.
So outside they cover up, and inside it's different, more.
Less covered, less holy, whatever. Huh?
I got it.
So here's an important distinction. What is the relationship between attractive and provocative? Are they related? Or in simple language, what is the relationship between beauty and sexuality?
they can both be beautiful.
There's an assumption, right? There's like an attitude that if a woman is beautiful, there's something sexual about it.
Yeah, that's true.
What's the connection? Why are they related?
Can you repeat that?
What does beauty have to do with intimacy? See, that's part of the corruption of society. It's not natural. It's not natural that if you see something beautiful, you want to be intimate with it. But that's Hollywood, it's the media, you know. So we can't give in to that. We have to be a light to the world and say what the truth is. Beautiful or attractive is meant to be visible. Where do we find that the Torah says to hide the beauty? You don't hide beauty. Beauty is meant to be seen in the eyes of the beholder. Intimacy is private. How are the two related? Before I continue with my monologue, where I do all the talking, I want to invite you to a VIP session, a Zoom session, in which we get together to actually have a conversation and discuss all things Jewish, all things holy, all things healthy. So click on the link below and join us where we can have a two-way conversation. That's what I want to tell you. The laws of tznius, right? You're not allowed to be alone in a room together, man and a woman. Well, what if the woman is really ugly? Then it's okay? No, I mean really ugly. Like everyone agrees that it's ugly. Now can they be in a room together?
No.
Because, there isn't going to be any sexual energy. Because she's ugly. That is so untrue of nature. Intimacy and beauty are not related.
Interesting.
Intimacy is forbidden between a man and a woman who are not married to each other, and it has nothing to do with beauty or ugly. Back in the 70s, we had this program in Minnesota. We invited women to come for the summer, for their vacation time, whatever it was. And there was no restrictions. We didn't know what we were doing. It was totally reckless. Women came from all over the world. We didn't check. We didn't ask, are you sane? Are you a serial killer? We did nothing, nothing. You're Jewish, you want to learn? Come. And not for an hour. To stay for a week, for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks. This one woman came, and she was an one of the feminists, anti-social. So she didn't do anything feminine, if you know what I mean. She didn't take care of herself. Because she wasn't going to play this game, you know. So she was a little neglected. So much so that all the other women who were feminists didn't want to share a room with her. It was really bad. Anyway, she wanted to speak privately. So I had this tiny little office, which had once been a closet, a walk-in closet. So we go into the room, and she's sitting by the door, and there's just room for 2 chairs, really. She closes the door. I said, leave it open just a little bit. She said, why? I said, because a man and a woman should not be in a room with the doors closed, there were no windows. She started to cry, like sobbing her, I don't, what? Was she offended? Was I like suggesting that she had some bad intentions or something? But I mean, crying. Not like, I'm insulted. No, she was sobbing. She finally pulls herself together and she says, this is the first time anyone treated me like a woman. What is that? Because she's not attractive, she's not a woman? So there's no sexual energy? What are you talking about? Ugly people have sexual energy. I'm sorry to tell you. What has one got to do with the other? So we find with Avraham, right? Avraham goes down to Egypt and he says to his wife, oh, you're good looking. So now we're in danger. Why did that happen only when they came down to Egypt?
She was very old, you know. She was older. It wasn't like young.
She was middle-aged. 99. 99 was middle-aged, right? If you live to be 180, what's 99? No. So what happened when they come down to Egypt? All of a sudden she's beautiful?
Maybe their morality was different.
Meaning, outside of Egypt, being beautiful was not dangerous. Because beauty is beauty, intimacy is intimacy. Don't mix the two. But in Egypt, whatever is beautiful was sexualized.
That's how it is today.
And that's how it is today.
Guard ourselves from that. Maybe
Obviously, like we said before, there's a difference between being attractive or being provocative. So you have to be careful not to be provocative. So, flashy, eye-catching, we can do without that. And it's so unnecessary. Because you're attractive. You don't have to go up overboard. You know what I mean? Attractive means pleasant to look at, not unavoidable to look at. I have to, monopolize all the attraction in the room, which is provocative. If you want everybody in the room to notice you've crossed the border. You've crossed the line. So, should we give in to this thing that if you're attractive, then you will be sexualized? That's giving in to stupidity, to the wrong thing. So we have to champion attractiveness in a modest form. And that's the difference between modesty and wearing, what do they call it? By the Arabs?
Burqa.
Yeah. What is the difference? Attractiveness is holy. Beauty is holy. Every holy woman in the Torah was beautiful. David HaMelech was beautiful. Yosef was beautiful. Nobody said they should wear a burqa. The difference is you want to be beautiful without being provocative. That's called tznius. Hiding everything is not tznius. It's just hiding. So Torah wants beautiful women behaving modestly. In the Arab world, being a woman is already a problem because men are out of control. So women have to dress, not tznius. Women have to dress as if they're not women. That's not the Torah. The Miss Israel, the beauty queen of Israel, came by the Rebbe for dollars. Now, I can imagine that many rabbis would be horrified. The Rebbe spoke to a model. You know, you don't get to be the beauty queen by being tznius. So why would the Rebbe even look at her? Why would he talk to her? Why would? But of course the Rebbe did, because the Rebbe was the Rebbe. But listen to what he said to her. He said, "I'm sure you know, in the Eshes Chayil, Sheker Hachein veHevel Hayefi, that beauty is vain and it's empty." But the Rebbe says the meaning of that is the next pasuk, the next verse. The woman who is God-fearing, she should be praised. Praised for what? For her beauty. Without the God-fearing, then the beauty is empty and vain and unholy. But a woman who is God-fearing and beautiful should be praised for her beauty. So in Torah, in Judaism, there is no fear of beauty. Oh, you're beautiful, you gotta hide. Only in Egypt, ancient Egypt. Over there, the border between beauty and intimacy was... So the sheitel does both. So when the Rebbe made this campaign, back in the 50s, the Rebbe made this campaign, women should wear sheitels. It wasn't because women needed to cover their hair. Most women were covering their hair, not with a sheitel. They were wearing hats, they were wearing scarves, and the Rebbe said, no, sheitel. Could be that the Rebbe, being as brilliant as he was, realized that if this continues in America, the hats are going to come off, and the scarves are going to come off, and they're not going to cover their hair. So the wig was the perfect solution. There was some backlash. There was a backlash. No, wigs are not kosher, they're not. So I remember talking to a guy who was very religious about it, and he would not allow his wife to wear a wig. Why? It's too modern, it's too good looking. And I'm looking at this guy, and he has a perfect haircut. His beard is trimmed, his mustache is trimmed. He's wearing these wraparound sunglasses. I said, wait a minute. You're allowed to be modern, she's not allowed? You spend some time in front of the mirror to make sure you look good, she's not allowed to? What is this? If you enjoyed this conversation or this topic, and you're looking for more information, or you want to hear it again from another angle, there's a way to do that. And that is in this book. It's all there. Order it from Amazon. You can read it, reread it, and share it.